Okay. We'll just give it a minute just to let people join, and then we will get started.
Yay!
Yay. It'll be a great conversation to sort of wrap up the month leading into the holidays.
Yep. And Doug's already with his tree.
I know, he's so festive. Okay, perfect. All right, well, why don't we get started? So welcome to the Barney Miller's Tech and Design Facebook Live event. Tonight's topic of conversation is smart home automation design. I'm Risa Schultz, and I'm joined by Allison Lopez, and we're from WeConekt, and we're going to be moderating tonight's conversation. And we're excited to be joined by a panel of experts tonight. I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourself. So if you could give us your name, your company, and a little bit about what you do. Barney, why don't you go first?
Okay, I'm Barney Miller. I'm the third generation owner of Barney Miller's Incorporated, founded in 1922 on Main Street in Lexington, Kentucky. We install electronic systems for the home and business. We've got a 14-person company and just a great staff, and just really proud of our heritage and history. I wear a few hats in the store, marketing and sales and you name it, but it's been a real fun industry to be in and very exciting. It moves very fast.
Great. Doug, why don't you go next?
Hi, I'm Douglas Hocker, and I've worked with Barney Miller's for over 30 years. I'm an electronic systems designer and get a chance to meet a lot of wonderful people and design some wonderful systems from residential to commercial systems.
Great. And JoAnn?
Hi, I'm JoAnn Arcenal. I work for Crestron Electronics, and I am the business development manager there. So I work kind of as a liaison between the design build community and our partners like Barney Miller's, helping to connect design, build, and technology.
Perfect. Well, very good. Thank you for joining us tonight, guys. We're really excited for this conversation. If you're watching at home, feel free to leave comments or questions in the chat, and we'll try to get to those towards the end. So let's kick it off. Barney, as you mentioned, you are a third generation owner of a business that's almost 98 years old in your community. So you really are an expert on this topic and all things smart home tech, and really probably the go-to person in Kentucky, in Lexington, for that. So can you tell us about the different levels of smart home and what a truly integrated smart home is?
Yeah, the smart home terminology maybe gets overused just a little bit. There's really basic smart home things like Alexa or Ring, that type of thing, where you just buy a small product, maybe you order it from Amazon and set it up and play some music in a small speaker, that type of thing. There's maybe another level where you've got a security system that does a little bit of lighting and maybe door locks and things like that. We call those things automation to a degree. And what Barney Miller's focuses on is integration, to make all the different automated functions of your home work together. That's the true power of an integrated home. You push a button that says entertain. All your lights dim, your shades go down, your doors unlock, it starts playing music, it turns your TV on to ESPN, whatever, it turns on your fireplace. We really can make all these things work together, and that's a real powerful tool. So integration is where you really get your money's worth, you might say, out of automation.
Great.
Great. So I'm going to take it from here. So JoAnn, you work for Crestron. Crestron is a world-renowned company in the smart home automation space. And we know, as Barney just alluded to, that there's so many different aspects of smart home automation today. There's, you can get a lighting system, you can get a Ring doorbell, you can have your Amazon Alexa, and all of a sudden you've got, 10 apps on your phone. I know Crestron is one platform that can handle all of this. Talk to us a little bit more about Crestron and some of the benefits to a system like Crestron.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. So rather than having a disjointed automated house, you have a seamless integration of all these different systems on one platform. So you mentioned a few. You have your distributed audio, your distributed video, We have our lights, we make our own shades, and also climate. So Crestron is actually the only brand that engineers, manufactures, and supports all of those different systems onto one platform. So now that you have all of those different components on one integrated system, speak on one platform, speaking one language, you have a much more reliable system. They speak together seamlessly, so you'll have less hiccup than you'll have as a disjointed house, as we were talking about before. And you'll also have a more future-proof system. So having everything on one platform, speaking the same language, you can always add on later on. So you're not, beholden to just this one system you have today. You're able to scale up as you need to, as your home and your lifestyle, advances.
Great. I love the whole idea of scaling up. And when you think about a consumer having to sit down to design a smart home, it could be overwhelming, right? So Doug, I know this is something that you deal with every day. Can you tell us a little bit about the process and sort of how you get a client started and explaining what the process is for smart home automation, designing a system?
Absolutely. Our design team will start with a thorough consultation. They'll either be in the office or through a discovery phone call.
Doug,
And it gives us a chance to basically talk with our clients and different types of technology that are out there, from all the different things that people are putting in their homes today. So what I normally like to do is if we get a chance to sit down with a client that's finishing a basement, say for instance, we want to make sure that we've got the great wireless connectivity in the basement, a wired connection, so that you've got the ability to use your electronics in that area of the home. Also, if someone's building a home, we want to make sure that we can pre-wire the home and make sure that we've got the right type of wiring throughout the house. So we sit down and go over that design with the client.
Great, great. So, Barney, can you talk to us a little bit more about pre-wiring and how you work? I'm sure you work with builders, right?
Yes, we do wiring in new construction and retro environments all the time. Wires are a necessary, thing in our industry, really. Speakers all need wires in our opinion. So, networks can be both wired and wireless, and wired connections are always the fastest and the most secure. So keypads, items like that, they all need wires. So there is a lot of planning that can be done. We can phase those types of things in, but if you've got a new construction project, it's best to run wires while the walls are open. It's less expensive and easier to do, more efficient that way. But wires are definitely necessary. If you've got Alexas or Sonos products or things like that sitting around, they're taking up counter space and, they're wireless. But we like to have hidden speakers in the ceiling and that type of thing, and keypads in the walls and things that are not in your way, but, add to the look of your home, and they don't take away, counter space in your kitchen with a radio, that type of thing. So wires are definitely necessary.
Yeah, can you hit on some of the categories that should be hardwired?
Yeah, definitely network. We want to make sure that TV locations have network to them. A lot of people are trying to stream Netflix and Amazon and that type of thing to TV locations. If they're not doing a video distribution system, then you want to try to all the time, wire up your streaming devices. Speakers definitely need wires. Keypads, they definitely need, touch screens in walls. You want wires to those. So probably those are some of the key things that I could think of off the top of my head. And but we wire all the time. Cameras, you really don't ever want to use a surveillance camera in a wireless environment. It's just asking for trouble. So we always run wires to cameras. If you're going to record, there's a lot of bandwidth that cameras use. So there's a lot of products that we wire for. something that's not really maybe considered smart home, but cell phone boosters. So we wire for those. People, you'd be amazed how many people live in an urban area and have terrible cell phone connections. So there's all kinds of things that we run wires for. We actually color code our different wires, and so we've probably got, I think, 8 different colors of wires that we run in houses specific to each discipline.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, when we say wire and we talk about wire, right? Like it's just one type of wire. But when you think about it, I know there's several different types of wires, and you sort of have to know which wire to use where. Do you want to shed some light on that a little bit?
Yeah, we use, speaker wire for one thing. It's usually 14-2 or 16-2 type conductors. Cat 6 wire we use a lot. That goes.
That's the magic wire, right?
Yeah, it does. We run coax wire to every TV. We run to like TV locations. We'll run 1 coax and 2 Cat 6s to every TV location. So coaxes aren't used as much as they used to. As far as fiber optic wires, we typically use that from building to building. So if you've got like a pool house or something like that, or a barn, or some other outlying area, maybe a gate also. So we wire gates all the time, and we do that with fiber optic wires because that prevents it surges between the buildings. In addition to that, it's very fast, and you can run a ton of data through that. So there really is a ton of different wires that we use.
Yes, yes.
Can I just add to that, Allison? So this kind of ties in with what Douglas was saying, and also with what Barney was just saying. There's a lot to this whole discovery process and to the planning process. We've got a lot of design build partners that will probably be joining us tonight. And I think that it's important for end users, for the design build community, to understand that there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that we need to plan for. So the earliest that you can engage your partners like Barney Miller's, the better, because they might be asking the questions you don't know to ask, that you don't think to ask, these discovery questions that are going to play into how you plan for your home architecturally and just spatially. So I can't stress that enough. I mean, a lot of times this used to be, an afterthought. It's just an AV system. No, there's so much more to it. Just I couldn't keep track of all the wires that Barney was just talking about, and I've been working in technology for 10 years. So, so I myself need help. I'm sure that that half the people on here didn't realize really how much goes into the planning, how much goes into the infrastructure that you really need for a whole home automation and integration.
Yeah, and also I think another thing, and Doug, maybe you can shed some light on this, is the time frames.
Absolutely. So, exactly what JoAnn was talking about. You don't want to wait to the last minute. If you're building a home, you don't want to wait until the insulation and the drywall is going in. On our design team, we'll actually sit down and we can walk through room by room to give you a really good idea on what we would recommend, as far as the wiring is concerned in each of those rooms. I think today consumers rely on wireless way too much, and we want to make sure that your house is wired for wireless. So different types of electronics as far as streaming video content, the category wire that Barney was mentioning, we want to make sure that each TV in the home is wired versus relying on a wireless signal. I mean, I'm sure that everyone has run into situations with buffering or trying to rely on a wireless signal, but a wired connection by far is the best way to go. So don't wait until the insulation is going in or the drywall is going up to come in to see us. The sooner that we can get a set of drawings or kind of get an idea of your project will be, is definitely what's best.
Awesome. So, Barney, give us an example of what an experience. Give us just one experience of what an integrated system looks like.
Well, I think it typically environmental things have become more and more popular. So motorized shades, lighting control, HVAC, all of that is really hot stuff nowadays. Barney Miller's has got a long history, so audio video is kind of our foundation, but we've really migrated over to all these disciplines together. And, my personal house, for instance, I've got, an entertain scene. I've got an entertain day and entertain night, for instance, so I've got different scenes. For instance, the entertain night scene puts my shades down, unlocks the front door, turns on the lights in the front of the house, turns on 3 TVs to ESPN, plays the Kenny Chesney country music channel on Sirius XM, turns on the fan and lights in my back deck and my family room. And I'm trying to think of the other thing. There's some other things that it does also, but
it's one press of one button.
One press of one button, exactly. And
Yeah.
just something simple like a good night scene. So we can either speak to our system or we can push a button that says good night. And that's extremely popular. We used to leave our garage doors open all the time, for instance. We've got 2 teenage boys and they'd come in after us and leave the garage door open. So our good night scene makes sure our garage door's down. It arms a security system. It can lock the front door, and it turns out the lights and the TVs in the rest of the house. It leaves the TV on in the bedroom, but it does everything else with one button that you used to have to go around and push 20 different buttons. And just think if, in a regular house, how many light switches are in a house, so being able to push one button and either recreate a complete scene or turn them all off at the same time. You might want, this room to have 75% level light, this room to have 50%, etc. And you can preset all that and exactly hit those light levels with the touch of one button.
Yeah, I mean, I think, when you think of convenience and, fun stuff, I mean, convenience coming first, obviously. I mean, my favorite is good night when, who wants to walk around a house that has, 100 windows or something and
Yeah.
pull the blinds down.
Yeah.
I mean, in this day and age when you can, say good night and the whole house shuts down.
How much time in your
I used to walk around the house and do all those things manually.
Imagine how many times you've left your home and you forget to turn out lights.
Yes.
So you can do that even after you've left the home. You can actually.
Yeah, because you can now see it on your phone, right?
Right. And that's the beauty of it. Even if you're traveling, if you're out of your town, out of the state or out of the country, you can still access your home and see what's happening. And even probably, Barney, I'm sure you can do the scenes where, you could set an evening scene. So if you're away, your lights still go on, or the lights, outside or inside. So it appears like you're home.
Yeah, and that actually happens. Our shades go up and down and the lights turn on and off, depending on what time of day it is. It's not really even the time. It's because the days get shorter in the wintertime. So the shades know to go up, when it's daylight, and down when it's dark. It doesn't matter the time. It matters the daylight, type
Right.
thing. So there's truly, smart stuff going on there.
Yeah, I mean, I love how everything works together. All the smart home, all the electronic things in the house can work together. And I know now we can even interface, our kitchen appliances, the coffee maker, the refrigerator. I mean, it's endless, right? So, you alluded to, I mean, we keep talking about shades and motorized shades, and it's one of the newer categories to home automation. JoAnn, talk to us a little bit about how there's a trend going on in our world regarding wellness. How do you link wellness with home automation? I know shading has something to do with it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Allison. That's a great question, especially right now. As we're all, adapting to the new climate, we see ourselves in the home so much more. So we need this to be a sanctuary rather than just a place where we feel boxed in. So we need to really address the wellness aspect of that. And it doesn't require anything new. You can take these systems that you already have, like you said, your shades, your lighting, your audio, and repurpose them into a way that integrates wellness into your home. So we probably all have these multi-purpose rooms or spaces where it's your den, it's now your workout room, it's your office, it's the kids' school, area. So during the day, you hit, perhaps your default is just your office setting where, your lights are on, you have some light background music, just to help you through the day. When it's time to kind of transition from that work day, now you can hit a scene again with this one touch that we're talking about, these scenes that Barney was talking about. Now you have a workout scene. Now perhaps the lights come up a little bit brighter. The temperature comes down to accommodate for all of the workout that you're going to, about to do. And perhaps your favorite playlist comes on your audio. So at one touch of a button, you're ready to work out. You're ready to make that transition. You can also, as far as calming the mind in your wellness, you have, you can take that same space, have a yoga preset scene, and now all of your blackout shades come down. The audio, it's a different playlist. It's just going to create a different mood. And perhaps now your floor lamps that have a warmer temperature come on, so that you're in a different space now. You're in a different experience. So just using these components that are already available to us, that we're already familiar with, and just using them in a way that's different, has really addressed the wellness aspect here, as far as how we are adapting to using our home in multiple ways.
I love that. I love that because, we've seen so many homes that had installed, home theaters, have had home theaters in their home, and it was just a separate room and they only went into it to watch movies. And now, we hear families are enjoying concerts. They're enjoying, as you said, a meditation. It's become a meditation room.
Or a gaming room.
A room, a video gaming room. We have one integrator that said his son, because the video games are now coming with the technology that can really be maximized in a room like a theater room, on a 77-inch screen to have, whatever video game they're playing. What an immersive experience for the young people. So these rooms are becoming multifaceted, and it's just a great concept. Awesome. So the other thing I wanted to ask you all about was voice, because more and more we're hearing about touchless environments, especially with what we've just gone through this year. And voice was on the rise anyway. I mean, you just have to look at the sales of voice assistants, and you can tell voice is going somewhere. Talk to us a little bit about the integration and how that works, JoAnn or Barney or Doug.
Well, we've done Alexa, for instance, since its inception. I remember going to a presentation from Amazon before it was ever hit the market, at one of the trade shows. And I was always enthralled with the concept of that. It works pretty good with an Alexa type device, but there is some technologies that are starting to become available, like Josh AI. And so that has more intelligence. It does depend on like where the microphones are located to. If you've got one and you're yelling across the room, that type of thing, it doesn't work very well. But it really is something that is happening. It's got a big future, I think. But it really needs some development. But Josh AI has taken it to another level than like the Alexas, for instance. JoAnn, you want to touch on that also?
Yeah. So, sorry, Allison.
Go ahead.
So as we're, migrating to touchless interfaces, or even handhelds, they are becoming more popular and people seem to become more and more comfortable with them. But just stressing, I know that, again, to my design build friends out there, and also the end users, it's also very important to consider the redundancy of control. So even though these are really, really great, you should still have something that's static in the room to make sure that if, let's say, Alexa is not, understanding you for the 15th time, you can still actually just walk over and, execute whatever command you'd like. It does reduce a lot of the frustration that I see a lot of people have when they completely do away with a static control interface in any room. So yes, it is becoming more and more popular, but it is definitely a consideration when you're planning for a space to know that you should have some kind of backup control that is going to stay in that room.
Great. Doug, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, so when clients visit our showroom, we want to make sure that, when, there's so much information out there about Alexa, we want to make sure to explain some of the, recommended things that Alexa should be able to do. Just simple system on and off, switching inputs. We don't recommend that Alexa change all the channels on your TV. So those are some of the most important things that we recommend, just switching inputs and getting to specific sources.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Barney, tell us a little bit more about scene setting, and just maybe give us an example or two of what you can do, especially, I mean, it's holiday time now. If you had a home automation system, what can you do for the holidays?
Yeah, there's a lot you can do. And we're starting to talk to customers about things like putting speakers out in front of their house, and that type of thing. So to be able to create a really fun scene, to be able to do that is really cool. Hello. But anyway, sorry,
Is
I
that
lost
a puppy?
somebody came into the room there. Sorry about that. But being able to really do that type of thing is really fun. But we try to get people to pick out like 4 or 5 scenes, like home, entertain, away, that type of thing. Keep it fairly general to start out with, and then they can expand out if they want to. But most customers have a hard time envisioning what they would want right out of the chute. So we kind of set up 4 or 5 scenes for them, and we do what we've kind of normally done and then go from there.
Yes, because I mean, I read somewhere that, there's like 200 things you can do with your typical smart home, one platform like Crestron. I mean, there's hundreds, right? Depending on your lifestyle and how you want to use the system. But it's great that you can start out with basics, but then you can fine tune it and really make it your own.
Yeah, we started out doing a lot of automatic or automation type scenes that would work on their own, and some of them we've kind of throttled back on because if you have your house wake up at a certain time of day, you might not always wake up at the certain time of day, that type of thing. So we've kind of tried to understand the customer's habits and that type of thing before we do too many of those automatic type things. But there's definitely some that are like no brainers. But as far as the customer, we want to make sure that they're okay with them.
Awesome. So JoAnn, I know Crestron, Barney Miller's is an authorized Crestron dealer. How do you choose your dealers?
Very carefully. So this is one of the great things about Crestron. So not everyone out there has access to the Crestron name, the Crestron brand, as far as being one of our partners. So we do actually, there is a strict standard that all of our dealers have to abide by, especially education. So Barney Miller, we've been partners for quite some time, have always upheld all of the standards as far as etiquette, customer service, and of course, education. So those are the key factors that we have in choosing and maintaining our partners. So anyone that you deal with that is an authorized Crestron technology professional has upheld those standards. So you know that you're dealing in a different level of quality and a different caliber of service that you should expect.
If I could touch on that a little bit too, that in our world we have 2 levels of Crestron. There's Crestron Custom, which we've been doing for probably over 20 years. And that is a heavy duty programming, really specific for the customer. You can really, the sky's the limit, anything you can possibly imagine. Then about maybe a year and a half ago, they came out with Crestron Home, which is a lower cost of entry. And they have really moved incredible speed to get that to really do a lot of things for your home. So it's reduced the cost of entry into a fully integrated home. And it's an incredible software format that they've come up with.
Great. Is JoAnn, is Crestron scalable?
Yes, yeah, definitely. So as we were talking about, having all these different components, talking the same language, and I did, I referenced all the 5 major components of whole home automation, but you're not only limited to that, only to the Crestron brand products that we produce. So we have partnered with secondary manufacturers and secondary systems like your automated locks, like we have partners like Yale Locks, your 3N door units, where we actually work with their engineers and we create that technological handshake so that we can integrate as if they were our own. They've actually integrated our technology into their components. And then even those tertiary components where we don't have that, that partnership, we have a team of 200 engineers right here in New Jersey that work on creating that language so that they can speak and they can communicate seamlessly. So we create what we call drivers so that they can communicate, and that's going to be seamless as well. So you know, it streamlines the deployment for our partners, and then it becomes a more reliable system for your end users. You know, being able to do that and dedicating those time and resources to making sure we create that experience.
Great. So JoAnn, there's questions about, at the end of the day, this platform is a piece of software and it has to be updated. And, like every other software out there, it's online, it's on the internet. Talk to us a little bit about what you guys are doing. Share with us for security, cybersecurity.
Sure. Well, just as a general point, Crestron is found, any manufacturer does set certain protocols in place so that all of their components should have those security protocols in there to protect against any kind of attacks. Now, Crestron, since we were founded in 1971, we've been able to, we were found in all different environments, including your hospitals, your education, government, which is on the local level as well as national level. So you can see, so our manufacturer protocols are in place, but then it's more important to partner with people like Barney Miller's so that you have that robust network and that security integrated into that as well. That's really where it's very important.
Yeah.
If I could also, experience really matters on if a Crestron system is interfacing with non-Crestron components. You really need to do your due diligence and make sure we know what the client's going to be putting in their house or what we're going to be putting in their house, and make sure it all works together, because you've really got to do your homework in that world and make sure that it's all going to work. If somebody's got a jacuzzi, we want to make sure we know what kind and that type of thing, so we could turn it on or turn it off, that type of thing. But there's all kinds of different systems in your home, and we just want to make sure it's all compatible.
Talk a little bit about the network, Barney, as JoAnn sort of alluded to with the security.
Yeah. We always want to put in, a secure network. And again, wired and wireless is very important. So we put in multiple switches, managed switches, so we can program the switch to make sure what goes out to certain devices. In addition to that, the wireless is, of course, very important. We want to make sure the indoor and outdoor environments are covered by wireless technology. And wireless, you usually get about, I'm saying 50 to 60% speed on that. And then wired, usually get about 90% of, kind of what you pay for from your internet service provider. But the network and the security about the network is incredibly popular and incredibly important. And networks have come a long way. A few years ago, that was like our number one service call problem, no doubt about it, was networks. Nowadays, that's really calmed down. The biggest problem we have now is the internet service providers providing a constant signal into your house. So the hose and the signal in your house needs to be steady for our systems to perform properly, or they're going to go, speed's going to go up and down, that type of thing. But we want to make sure that you've got enough access points or antennas throughout your house to cover things properly. Make sure no matter where you go in your house, you can use your phone, your iPad, any type of thing like that wirelessly, and be good to go.
Speaking of network, if once these systems are installed, if you make a change with your network provider, we want to make sure that everything gets connected back the way that it was before. We find too many times that once a client makes a change, if a switch doesn't get connected, typically there's a phone call to Barney Miller's or our support staff that some things in their system are not going to work properly. So we want to make sure that you contact us, let us know some of those changes that you're going to make, so that we can prepare you and have you ready for things that definitely need to be connected. Because if they're not, there's going to be problems.
How do you handle updates? Do you guys have like a maintenance plan or? How does that work?
Well, quite often we don't recommend updates unless they're necessary. You can actually break things sometimes if you update and some of the older equipment is not capable of taking that update. So we don't really recommend updates just for the sake of updating. If there's a reason to do it and there's a specific problem that's been happening, a specific problem you've had, then we'll definitely update. And if we go out to a house and there's a problem, we always check for updates. That's the first thing we do. But we don't just update people's system just to be updating. You can end up with half your system not working if you don't watch it.
Right, right. So, okay, I know we're probably getting close to time.
Yeah.
Just this one last round, and if anyone else have anything else to add, this is the time. But
some questions in the chat also.
Okay.
We'll get to.
What's your favorite thing in home automation? Why don't we start with JoAnn? Like your favorite scene.
My favorite scene. Anything that makes it easy for me to get out of the house. Because so for anyone that's in with us, Risa and Allison are both city girls, and like myself, so we live in a city where you are on the schedule of the city. So a scene where I am at the door, I realize I've probably left lights on across the apartment, wherever they are, and I have to decide whether I'm going to run out the door and make this train, or run across the apartment, turn off that light, make sure the radio is whatever, my audio is off, and then wait another 43 minutes for my next train. So anything like that helps me in my day-to-day, that is it for me.
Yeah, because you can run out the door, stand at the train station, and shut everything down from your phone.
Exactly. That would be mine.
Talk about really, adding simplification and convenience to your life. This is such a great solution for that.
Yeah. Anybody that can relate, you don't know if you're going to make that flight, you're running super late, but you can't leave all this on because you're gone for 5 days. So, just an away button or your goodbye button. And, as what I was saying, it engages your security system, all of that. And I don't have to worry about it. That's definitely key for me.
Barney?
My favorite scene is watch a movie. It's very simple, but the lights dim, the giant TV turns on, and the movie starts playing. That's my favorite. I love to kind of unwind, and I love to watch movies.
Awesome. Doug?
I like the good night scene because you have a chance to arm your security system and, lock the locks on your doors, turn out the lights, turn on exterior lights, and it just allows you to be rest assured once you're ending your work day, it's time to go to bed. You don't have to worry about anything. The good night scene is one of my favorite.
Yeah, my favorite is probably just being able to control everything in my house when I'm not here. Like I can see what's going on, who's home, who's not home. I don't even have to call them. and setting temperatures when I'm on vacation, or I just love the ability to be able to see everything and hear everything. It's awesome.
Yes. Okay. So let's just take a couple of quick questions from the chat before we wrap it up. Someone asked a question: what if I have multiple Z-Wave light switches? Are they compatible with these systems?
Z-Wave, I think, is only typically associated with alarm systems, I think. JoAnn, you know about that maybe? Or I don't think Z-Wave.
Yeah, I don't know about that in particular, but we do have lighting fixture testing that is free to anyone. It's available on our website. If you just email me, I think our contact will be up at the end of the presentation. So I can send you that link, and whatever fixtures that you have on your system, you can actually see if it's compatible. We have a list of fixtures that have already been tested, or we can test them ourselves, and we can work with you on specifying exactly which model we need to test for you.
there's different levels or different types of frequencies. There's Zigbee, there's Infinet, there's Wi-Fi. So there's different lightings, but a lot of times you can add an interface box between your lighting control system and an integrated system like Crestron and that type of thing to make it work together.
And I feel like we somewhat addressed this question already, but someone did ask, how is a separate lighting system integrated with Crestron?
Yeah, there are several different lighting control systems that are non-Crestron branded that can work with Crestron, and that's where you need an experienced person to make sure that you've got the right answer and you're going into it with the right plan of attack.
Yeah, so I think that's a theme that we've heard all night, is like planning is important and really planning from the start to make sure you think of all these things. But they can be, because I didn't get this question specifically, but we do get this question a lot about retrofit. And you did touch on it earlier, but the fact that, this is easy in a new home build, but how easy is it for you to come in and retrofit these types of systems into an existing home?
Yeah, we do that all the time. As far as lighting control, for instance, you can just take out a light switch and put in a light switch that you can control, you can talk to. And that light switch can be a multi-button keypad or just a single rocker dimmer switch, for instance. So that type of thing is easily retrofittable. And then, of course, networks, things like that, we retrofit them all the time. So different disciplines can definitely be, retrofitted in there. We work in more existing homes by far than we do new construction, because there's a lot more existing homes than there are new homes being built. So that's a very common thing that Barney Miller's does. And it takes a little bit more planning sometimes, but, guys like Doug, they come out to your house and, do a walkthrough, and we come up with a great plan for you. And we make sure that what's kind of easy to do and what takes a little bit more work to do.
Right. Okay, and the last question that we have is, so can shades work without wires, I guess, with this smart home system? I don't know.
Yes, there are such a thing as wireless shades. There are such a thing as battery-powered shades,
Right.
And they can work wirelessly. You can communicate to them wirelessly. Some brands you have to run wires to, and some you don't. But yes, you can. We do retrofit battery-powered shades, definitely.
Perfect. Okay.
The battery powered shades, the batteries, they last for a pretty good amount of time. So they work really, really well, just as well as, some of the wired shading solutions that are out there.
Yeah, in my experience, the only place you would want to probably hardwire or really push for hardwiring a shade is those really tall, like my situation here, because to get a ladder into this house to change a battery it's such a job. It's so much drama. And then I have to hire somebody to do it. So, if you had the opportunity to hardwire on a tall window or something like that, it's probably very advisable.
I would say we're seeing batteries last about 2 years on battery powered shades. But yeah, in a new construction environment, we always recommend running wires. There's no doubt about it. But sometimes in retrofit environments, it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
So how long, Doug, because someone just asked this question, how long do the batteries typically last for in these shades? I know you said they last a long time, but.
Well, roughly, they're, as Barney mentioned, roughly 2 years. We've seen some close to 3 years, but we definitely recommend to run a wire, especially if the home is under construction. Wiring for shades is by far the best way, especially for those really tall windows,
Right.
like Allison was talking about.
Perfect. All right. Well, that wraps up all the questions in the chat. So I think looking at the time, we want to kind of wrap up. So I'd love to thank our panel for joining us tonight. And thank you for those watching at home. We hope you've enjoyed this discussion around smart home automation. And definitely we invite you to stay tuned for the next Barney Miller Tech and Design event, which will take place in January. I'm going to share my screen right now to put up our panelists' contact information so that if you have any questions for them, you are welcome to email them directly to reach out. And let me share that right now. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so here's everyone's contact information. So again, feel free to reach out to them with email if you have questions, or contact Barney Millers directly. And thank you all again so much for joining us tonight. We hope you have a happy holidays, and we'll see you
Happy
next month.
holidays. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Barney, did you have anything else to add?
No, I think we covered it really well, I thought. Yeah, very good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Thanks,
Happy
you too.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.